Before the world called him the king, he was just a quiet boy from a small town, shy, polite, and full of dreams. Elvis Aaron Presley was born on the January 8th, 1935, in a two-room house in Tupelo, Mississippi. He was one of twin boys, but his twin, Jesse Garin, was stillborn. Elvis grew up alone, carrying the silent weight of the brother he never met. His mother, Gladys, adored him. His father, Vernon, struggled to keep steady work. They were poor, sometimes desperately poor, but full of love. From the beginning, Elvis was different. He was sensitive, spiritual, deeply attached to his mother, and fascinated by music, gospel choirs in church, blues on Beale Street, and the raw rhythm of Southern life. When he was 11, he got his first guitar, not the bicycle he wanted, but something that would shape his destiny. He strummed simple songs, shyly sang for his classmates, and dreamed of a life beyond the dirt roads of Mississippi. In about 1948, the Presley family moved to Memphis, Tennessee. Chasing work and hope, Memphis was alive. Black and white cultures colliding, gospel echoing from churches, rhythm and blues shaking the night. Elvis listened to it all. He didn't care about color or class. He cared about sound. He once said, "Music has no boundaries. It comes from the heart." He wore flashy clothes, slicked back his hair, and sang with a voice that didn't sound like anyone else, smooth, powerful, full of soul. But when he tried to get noticed, people laughed. He was too different, too soft-spoken, too emotional, until one day, everything changed. In 1953, Elvis walked into Sun's studio to record a song for his mother's birthday, "My Happiness." The receptionist, Marion Keisker, heard his voice and said, "You sing like nobody I've ever heard before." A few months later, producer Sam Phillips called him back. During a recording session, frustrated and playful, Elvis grabbed his guitar and started singing, "That's All Right, Mama," shaking his leg, moving like the rhythm itself. The sound was electric, part gospel, part blues, part country, something new, something wild. When the song hit the radio, Memphis exploded. Listeners called nonstop asking, "Who is that?" Rock and roll had just been born, and Elvis Presley was its voice. Soon he was on stage, moving, dancing, trembling with energy. Women screamed, men gasped. America had never seen anything like him. Elvis didn't invent rock and roll, but he set it on fire. He was the spark, the bridge between the black rhythm and white pop culture, between rebellion and beauty. But fame, like fire, burns fast. And for Elvis Presley, the flames were only beginning. Hollywood lights, television screens, and the name Elvis Presley echoing across America. From a shy boy in Memphis, he had become a storm, a force that no one could ignore. His voice was fire, his movements electric, his confidence disarming. On stage, Elvis was pure energy, hips shaking, eyes glinting, voice like thunder and honey. He didn't just sing songs, he set them free. Every note carried rebellion, freedom, and something America had never heard before. Truth. But truth has a price. Parents called him dangerous. Preachers warned that he was corrupting the youth. Conservative America didn't know what to do with this 21-year-old boy who could make thousands scream just by moving his hand. But teenagers, they understood. They found freedom in his rhythm, rebellion in his smile, courage in his music. Elvis became more than a singer. He became a revolution. And in that revolution, a generation found its voice. By 1956, Elvis Presley was everywhere. On radios, on television, on the covers of every magazine in America. His concerts were chaos, walls of sound and emotion. People didn't just watch him perform, they experienced him. He starred in movies like Love Me Tender and Jailhouse Rock. And suddenly, the boy from Tupelo was the most famous man on earth. But behind the lights, the laughter, and the screams, there was exhaustion, the quiet kind that fame cannot cure. He missed his mother Gladys, the woman who believed in him when the world didn't. Their bond was unbreakable, almost sacred. So when she passed away in 1958, a part of Elvis went silent. He never truly recovered. That same year, at the height of his fame, Elvis was drafted into the U.S. Army. The king was trading rhinestones for a soldier's uniform. The world was shocked. Could the greatest performer on earth simply walk away? But Elvis did. He went quietly, respectfully, serving in Germany as a regular soldier, refusing special treatment. It was there that he met Priscilla, a young woman whose calm presence softened the loneliness of his years abroad. She would later become his wife, his muse, and eventually his heartbreak. When Elvis returned to America in 1960, the country welcomed him as a hero. Crowds waited at the airport holding banners that read, "Welcome home, Elvis." He was older now, calmer. The sparkle in his eye had changed, still bright, but deeper, touched by loss and experience. Rock and roll had evolved, and so had he. The boy from Tupelo had become the king of rock and roll. He starred in film after film, sang love songs that melted hearts, and sold millions of records. But the screen could not hold the man who lived for the stage. He missed the connection, the electricity, the roar of the crowd that once gave him life. And somewhere deep inside, Elvis felt it. A restlessness, a whisper, calling him back to the beginning, because the king might have been crowned, but his heart still belonged to the music. Fame is a crown that glitters and burns. By the early 1960s, Elvis Presley was everywhere, his face on every screen, his voice on every radio. He was the king, but the world that had once worshipped him was beginning to change. Rock and roll had new heroes, new sounds, new rebellions. The Beatles were rising. The world was moving faster, bolder, louder. And Elvis, now polished, handsome, dressed in Hollywood suits, began to feel disconnected from the fire that had once set him free. He made movie after movie, 31 in total, romantic comedies, light musicals, box office hits that made money but stole something from his soul. He wanted to sing with passion again, to feel the music in his blood. But his manager, Colonel Tom Parker, saw only the business, not the man. Contracts, profits, control. The colonel built a kingdom around Elvis, but in that kingdom, the king was a prisoner. Behind the perfect smile, Elvis was lonely. He spent nights awake, pacing hotel rooms, missing the stage, missing the roar of the crowd. He once said quietly, "I was so tired of being Elvis Presley, I just wanted to be me." In 1967, he married Priscilla, the woman he had met years earlier in Germany. Their wedding looked like a dream. White lace, flash bulbs, champagne. But behind the glamour, cracks were forming. Elvis loved deeply, but fame leaves little space for peace. They had a daughter, Lisa Marie, whom he adored, yet even fatherhood couldn't fill the growing silence in his heart. By 1968, critics called him outdated, a relic of the 1950s. The boy who had once shocked the world was now being forgotten by it. But fate had one more stage prepared. NBC offered Elvis a television special, his first live performance in years. Many thought it would be a farewell. Instead, it became a rebirth. The show aired on December 3rd, 1968. Elvis, dressed in black leather, a guitar in hand, surrounded by a small crowd. No movies, no filters, no scripts, just Elvis, raw, alive, and electric. When he sang If I Can Dream, his voice shook with power and pain. The world watched and remembered this was the same man who had once lit a fire in their hearts. The Pacha 68 comeback special didn't just revive his career, it resurrected his spirit. For the first time in years, Elvis was free again. Not the king, but the man who loved music. And with that freedom came a new chapter. The glittering lights of Las Vegas, a city that would give him everything and take everything in return. Las Vegas, a city of neon, noise, and endless nights. For Elvis Presley, it was both a stage and a cage. After his comeback in 1968, Elvis was reborn. His energy was back, his fire returned. Crowds filled the International Hotel to see him, dressed in white jumpsuits, gold belts, and a voice that still carried thunder. Every performance was electric. He sang with everything he had: power, emotion, desperation. For 2 hours a night, he wasn't lonely. He was the king, again. But when the lights went down, silence returned. Fame is a cruel companion. It gives everything and leaves nothing. Behind the glittering suits and standing ovations, Elvis was falling apart. The long tours, sleepless nights, and constant pressure were breaking him. He turned to pills, first to sleep, then to stay awake, then to keep moving. Doctors came and went. Colonel Parker kept booking shows, pushing harder, chasing money while Elvis's body begged for rest. He loved deeply, but lived restlessly. His marriage to Priscilla unraveled. Fame doesn't share easily. In 1973, they divorced. That same year, Elvis performed Aloha from Hawaii, a concert broadcast live to over 1 billion people, the first of its kind. He stood on stage in his iconic white cape, arms open, face shining under the lights. The world cheered, and yet he looked so very alone. He sang, "I Can't Help Falling in Love with You." And for a moment, it was as if he knew love would be the last thing he gave the world. By 1976, his health was failing. He gained weight, his voice sometimes trembled, but when he sang, something sacred still lived in his sound. Every note carried the ache of a man who had given everything to the stage. Then came August 16th, 1977. Graceland, Memphis. Elvis Presley was found lifeless in his home. He was 42. The world stopped. Radio stations went silent. Millions wept. It felt impossible. How could someone so full of life, of light, simply be gone? But legends don't die. They echo. Even today, decades later, his songs still played in cars and cafes and hearts. Because Elvis was never just a man. He was the sound of freedom, the bridge between cultures, the proof that music could make us all feel alive. He once said, "Truth is like the sun. You can shut it out for a time, but it ain't going away." Neither did he. Elvis Presley's story is one of love, loss, and immortality. A man who sang his way out of poverty into history and beyond time itself. He gave the world his voice, his heart, and his truth. And in return, the world crowned him the king. And somewhere beyond the spotlight and the silence, his song still plays. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.